In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councillor Gramlich.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Call the question, those in favor. And that is carried. Councillor Moallem.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of the October 1st, 2024 regular meeting of council.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor. And that is carried. Councillor Hughes.
I move to accept the committee of the whole meeting minutes from October 8th, 2024 as presented.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor. And that is carried. Okay, first up, we're full house tonight. This is exciting. Nice to see all of you. I see our online viewership has decreased by about 3 because they're from the naming committee. If you want to come forward and say your name into the mic.
Okay. Who's going to scribe for you while you're there?
Pushes on it.
That is something we haven't figured out. Well, Harry. Yeah, my name is Joe McWilliams. I'm the chair of the naming committee. Harry Bartlett, Charlie Ghostkeeper. This is 3/5 of the committee, or is it 3/4 of the committee? 3/4. 3/4. I'm not going to read this whole thing.
Thank you.
You've got it in front of you, and I'm sure you've all read it. And you know that we have been discussing the request by the Emil Pearson family to name for council to name something after him, and council heard from the family about a year ago, and knows the background, and then we subsequently met with members of the family and we talked it over, and several names or streets were suggested, and we're ready to recommend 3 of them as possibilities and leave it up to council.
Perfect.
And those are Main Street North, Tamarack Road, and Airport Road. All in the north end of town and all in some way connected to Mr. Pearson, where he worked and did business and flew. So you'll note that Caribou Road has also been, Caribou Trail has been suggested. However, we're recommending those 3, Main Street, Tamarack, and Airport Road, as strong contenders.
I have no preference amongst the 3.
Are there any questions?
I said, is there a preference amongst the 3?
Did we have a preference, Harry? Yeah. What was?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, our preference, our first preference is what is called Main Street North, which ran north of Main Street here and went down past Emil's shop, and where a lot of action was happening at that time. So that was our first choice. But there's Tamarack Road. There's a portion of that which is kind of in the back, in the far corner from Emil's shop. So if you said we want 1, we're thinking Main Street North. If you're looking at 2, maybe those 2. So that's when we talked about that with the family when they were in a few weeks back.
Councillor Adams.
Council there. Did they not request Airport Road as the primary? Or did that change
It was requested.
by the family?
Yeah.
Okay. But that was kind of third choice from the.
Sorry to intervene, but just kind of going back to your comment, Airport Road is listed. And just for the record, I'm the recording secretary for the committee. So Airport Road was listed, and in our report, we just referenced that it dead ends into the MD. So if we wanted to look into that, we would have to then discuss within the MD. Also as attached is letters of support reference.
Thank you, Ashley. Councillor Graham.
I think the easiest and quickest one is the Main Street one, and it went by Emil's shop, and also we don't need 2 main streets in Slave Lake, so that eliminates one of them. So that's great in itself.
Okay.
The actual renaming of the street where address is changing a whole bit.
Correct.
Yes,
It would still be Main Street North, but we would add an honorary name, emergency services as well.
Councillor Moallem.
Yeah, I agree with, I think, a lot of what the group has talked about. Main Street North and Tamarack, we kind of did a tour around that area, and we found both those kind of made sense as number 1 and number 2, because they do kind of run right through the shop and give proper recognition, I think, to the Pearson family.
Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that along the same lines. Ultimately, I want to give the family whatever their first choice is, but if Airport Road is sorry, Main Street. Clarification, Ashley, is it like the blue signs, like how we have the other, right? Is that what it would look like?
I believe so. I haven't gotten to like the nitty gritty of signs, but like. I
Okay,
think-
that's typically what we've been doing for
Yes,
the special.
Yeah, we've been adding on top of the actual physical address, whatever it is, the name of that street, we would add on top Emil Pearson Way.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Counselor Adams.
Okay, again, for clarification, because you brought it up with the airport road that it dead ends and flows into the MD. All three of these roads go into the MD. Because Main Street North will run into the MD and then Tamarack spins over and will be the MD before it hits the highway.
I can double check, but I did run these Airport Road was that one that went into the MD. From my knowledge, we can definitely look into it again, but I did talk to the planning department.
Because it turns into the MD, I believe, right where Ingo is, right?
On one side.
Yeah, I think it goes across the highway and cuts straight across the backside at that point. I thought anyways, maybe not. Okay, sounds good.
Any further questions from council for naming? Go ahead, Harry.
I can just add one thing. We were trying to be consistent. The naming of the street in front of the Legion as Stool of Foy
Wait.
Way, I think it is. That kind of showed respect for someone who worked very, very hard at the Legion and of course at the Elks as well. But I know when it was named, he was in tears at the time and it meant a lot to him. And I think it's the naming committee is trying to recognize community people who have done a whole lot for our town.
Don't we really appreciate that? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Good enough?
Good enough.
Thank you.
Motion. Counselor Hughes.
Motion to accept as,
Question those in favor. And that is carried. So we'll move into business arising from delegations as there was a decision requested in the delegation. Opening up the floor to council for any discussion on the recommended options from the naming committee. Counselor Adams.
I like the idea of using the Main Street North. Even if it only names it as far as we can go with it, I think is fine. If that's the number one option there, I think it's appropriate. When we were talking about this originally, I had in my head Tamarack just being on the backside of his place there, but Main Street makes more sense to me, but I like it. I think it's prominent.
Is that a motion?
Okay, Counselor Adams, continue, please.
Thought you guys were wanting discussion. I was waiting in case there are
I
other
think there
opinions.
was an agreement with you on this.
I'd like to make a motion with tasking the naming committee to proceed with adding an honorary name to the Main Street North. Is that the appropriate
Or Amir
Might have
Pearson.
directed administration.
the administration? There you go. Sorry, missing my
Does that capture everything you need?
Yes, and the naming committee will be conducting the work, but I'll be helping them on the administration side. So we'll double check too, any roads or any possible implications.
Honorary name for Emil Pearson on the Main Street North, and then that will be facilitated by administration.
To add a stipulation there to add the $300 budget for the sign as well.
We'll make a friendly amendment
Yeah.
that the budget for the sign comes out of unrestricted surplus.
we don't have a budget for it. The $300 is per sign. If there's 3 signs, it's going to be $900.
Okay,
So why would we be assigning a budget to it?
That's total, right, Ashley?
One sign.
I believe the cost would be $150 per sign. So if there was 2 signs on that road, it would be $300. That includes the work and the sign to put up. I talked to operations.
Do we need to have a budget assigned to this at this time? No way. It's pretty small, I
You can
think.
handle that? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, from my talk with administration, we could recuperate the costs.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
We'll leave the friendly amendment off and we will stand with the initial motion regarding the naming of Main Street North. All right, any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Okay, fantastic. Let's move into new business and reports. We have our service award presentation. Alex,
I'm not gonna sit,
you don't have to sit.
no. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us tonight. I'm here for 2 reasons, so I'll start with the first one. There is a provincial recognition award for long service award. So tonight I'm presenting a 12-year medal for years of service. The recipient of this award started out as Fire Service of Grand Prairie County. He joined us about 2 years ago, and I'd like to call upon Senior Firefighter Mitch Mann. Mitch is also leading up our training program for the Northern Lakes Fire PCP program. So, and because we're a big deal, we brought our own photographer with us.
I like that.
So Mayor Ward, I'd ask you to come and help me present this medal to Senior Firefighter Mann.
Where you are.
Do you wanna get it?
Maybe.
You practice with them.
Oh,
Get
okay.
it when they.
All right. I'll warm them up. Blind them.
Now goes the real. Okay, give me a smile. And again. Awesome. Thanks.
We asked Council to join us.
Long time. We're gonna have to get you guys ready. Thank you. Are you ready? Okay, let's smile. And again, and again. Awesome. Thanks.
All right, and while you're taking your seats, the second reason we're here tonight, we did start our second year of our fire PC program. You will notice that our student count is down a little bit from last year, but we're still going ahead with the program. We have some ideas we're looking at from the fire side of things for January. So I'll allow Mitch to introduce the two students that are with us tonight. I will mention we have a third that was sick today and wasn't able to come tonight, so.
All right, yeah, I'd like to ask Kira and Zach to come stand up here with us. I'm college and Northern Lakes College program. So the program that we run is very important for our fire service as well as our community. The reason being is that we're bringing these students from all over Canada. Kira, why don't you tell them where you're
I'm from the Yukon. Yeah, like 15 hours north of here.
Oh, wow.
from? Zach? Previous to that, we had our last class with Nova Scotia, we had people, Saskatchewan, it brings people all over. So from all over the place, and being able to take this program and teach these guys the people they need to become full-time firefighters as well as full-time paramedicine is very important for us. Giving that training, we obviously have our volunteer members that are greatly beneficial in our whole town, but having that expert training that these guys have on the medical side as well as full certification on the fire side is huge. You'll see these guys around for at least a year or two until they decide to move on further.
And I will mention our third student is from Slave Lake, so in 2 years. Up, down.
Sure.
Yeah, we can probably stand in front of the council. Yeah.
Okay, second one. Okay, give me a smile. And again. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome, you guys.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
One's clear now.
Yeah.
That's in it.
Musical chairs.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we'll just give everyone a couple minutes here. to Sign out.
Does anyone else want pictures of us?
Yeah.
Available.
Okay, we should be able to move forward. We have,
Need a motion?
yes, Councillor Toba.
To accept this report as information.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Now we can continue on with our 2024 January to September year-to-date operating results. Roland. There's no cat sweater.
Not today.
I'm slightly disappointed.
All right. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. I'm just here to give the operating budget update as of September 30th. So have two columns here. I have an actuals versus budget, and then a projections column there. And just to make the numbers look a little clearer, just due to the shelter closure, I have removed all of the information in the projections. Any costs, any revenue, anything like that, those are out. However, they are in the year-to-date numbers there. From municipal taxes, we've reached 100% of the annual budgets. All the tax bills have been processed. And later on in the report, I'll go over or left standing. We don't project any variances other than the additional revenue that is showing in there right now is just the transfers to the utility from the utility bills to the tax as taxes once they get transferred. User fees and sales of goods. So we've reached 90% of the annual budget. Key contributors being water services for 1.9 million, sewer services, fire services 427, and lot sales 500,000. Water and wastewater revenues are slightly higher than anticipated, and this is mainly due to not a large increase, but a slight increase in a year-over-year water kind of return back from a couple of years in our bulk water and our bulk sewage station usage. So it's good to see there. Fire services revenue are significant town deployment revenue and an additional $200,000 from cot rentals and additional service fees that they've earned this year. Lot sales so far from 4 New Place have amounted to $500,000 after deducting expenses and off-site levies. User fees and sales of goods are projected to exceed budgeted amounts by $1.1 million, with the remaining money coming from water, wastewater, and fire services. Total lot sales for the year are projected at $601,000, and after deducting expenses and off-site levy transfers, the total expected amount to be transferred to reserve is $395,000. For revenue, the one area of concern that we do have is advertising revenue across the town. This is projected to be far below budgeted expectations by a shortfall of approximately $50,000. Due to the other areas, making additional revenue, this isn't going to have a budget or, a negative impact. However, it is an area of concern that we do have, and we are looking in that direction.
Is that from we're talking like rink?
Yeah, across the board, it's mainly MRC rink board advertising.
Is what is causing most of the
The vast majority, yeah. Interest earned year to date, 118%. The projected variance, we should be generating an additional $100,000 over the budgeted values just due to interest rates being slightly higher than projected. Penalties, year to date, 125% earned. Again, we're keeping an eye on this one. This again is largely consists of penalties on outstanding taxes and is trending higher than anticipated. Government transfers for operating. So this one shows a large variance. Of course, that one is just due to the shelter funding. We had $1 million receivable. With the closure of the program, there'll be a significant reduction in the transfer for operating. However, because the shelter is fully grant funded, there's no impact to the budget. Licenses and permits, year to date, 67% here earned. Amounts here mainly consist of business licenses and development permits. Business license growth is not anticipated to reach the projected levels. Additionally, changes in the fee structure for planning and development combined with the lower year-end revenues will be under budget by about $39,000. Fines and costs. Year to date, 28% earned. This one again, fine revenue is trending significantly lower than in prior years, but however, the main culprit here is the photo radar. And of course, with the closure of
and they were operating for the 6 months before that anyway. So that would make a difference. Yes.
Yeah. So the net transfer radar from photo radars is just projected to be $18,000 for the year. Franchise fees, 66% earned for the period. Amounts from ATCO and gas are trending slightly lower than anticipated for the year. Again, it's hard, don't have any concern there. They probably won't hit the budgeted amount, but they won't be too far off. Rental income mainly consists of rental income from the government center and is in line with expectations for the year. Other revenue, so 100% earned. And the largest amount from other revenue is, of course, from the ATCO streetlight purchase or sale at $686,000 to be transferred to reserve. So overall, revenues are exceeding budgeted expectations in the other areas. We do have a couple that we're watching out, however, above budgeted revenues for the year. Under the expense side, salaries, wages, and benefits have reached 75% of their allocated budget. These are trending a little bit lower just due to position vacancies throughout the year. Contracted and general services, year to date, we're sitting at about 73% of the annual budget. Overall, these costs are in line with expectations, with the exception of higher expenses related to the Apex security and issues surrounding the spring, some higher than budgeted expenses incurred over at the MRC to tackle that problem that they had there. Projected variance for the end of the year indicate that overall contracted services is expected to exceed budgeted amounts by $365,000.
And then for Apex, we would have the related additional reserve transfer coming.
If we need to, I don't think we will.
Okay.
I would only transfer from the unrestricted surplus should the town find itself in a need at the end of the year, where we would maybe sit in a deficit position. That's not what we're projecting right now.
Okay.
Material supplies and utilities. So year to date, we have 54%. Utilities here, this is where the saving grace comes in to pay for some of this other stuff. So they are trending lower than anticipated. A big chunk of this is the cost that we budgeted for the ATCO LED light conversion project. So when we sold our remaining rights to our lights, we were supposed to be charged an additional fee. It took ATCO a little bit longer than I think they had anticipated to convert all of that over, and thus we didn't have to pay that higher rate. So we did have some savings in that area with about $150,000. Fuel costs are also trending much lower than budgeted, both at the fire services. So they had some out of town deployment. They had some, talking to Alex, some fuel that was donated or they were procured at a lower rate. For operations, so far our year's just been really warm. We haven't had any snow services and we don't have to clear snow. You don't have to pay for fuel. So a lot of savings there. Overall, our utility costs are projected to come in under budget. Total savings for ATCO estimated at $200,000. Additionally, both the MRC and the water plant are expected to realize further savings from lower than average power usage. So we've been looking at the MRC. They have put in that cold ice generation. I do believe that it is producing the expected the savings in the power there. So we can kind of start seeing that with the kilowatt hours slightly going down over there. Transfers to individuals and organizations. So these includes payments towards the library, wildfire, legacy center, Slave Lake Airport, and community grants. All major organizations have received their annual funding and the amounts left over for the smaller groups. For reserve transfers, everything's on target to be transferred to reserve. Water and wastewater revenues with the higher than expected revenue and the higher than expected lot sales. We do anticipate an additional or higher than budgeted for our forecasted reserve transfers and approximately $927,000. So overall total expenses for the year have reached 74% of the allocated budget. And we don't have any concerns at this time. So overall, with the way that the budget's trending and where we're headed, we do project that we should be on track to have a roughly between $150,000 and $300,000 surplus for the year. I can go over the taxes receivable. So as of September 30th, 2024, taxes receivable amounts to 2.8 million, which means taxes that were levied in 2024. Of this amount, 448,000 remain outstanding and unpaid. For comparison, at the end of 2023, the remaining outstanding taxes for the year totaled $181,000. So where we expect to end up in any given year. The remaining $1.6 million in 2024 taxes is expected to be collected by year end, primarily through the tax installment payment program. And tax contracts to collect the rest. So for your information there, I've just broken down the 2024, any amounts that are outstanding, not including this year. So anything that's 2023 and prior. And for the clarification there, you can see 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020 is the big chunk there. And that 2020 really makes up the big bulk of our arrears of the $789,000. So, and that is specifically surrounding one property out by the highway. Just for comparisons there, I've included the 2023 numbers. So overall, I think we are moving in a positive direction with the taxes. We're not really concerned. We are collecting outstanding taxes. We are sitting down and meeting with people, entering into tax contracts. We do see that our adherence to the tax contracts, by and large, are consistently being paid and collected. For utility receivables, as of September 30th, total receivables, $553,000, with 74% of that being current and 26% being past due. Scheduled transfer of about $30,000 in unpaid utility bills to taxes is expected and will shift the breakdown to about 79% current and 21% past. And again, for comparison, the 2023 year ending balance at December 31st stood at $478,000 with 77% current and 23% outstanding. With that, yeah, overall, I think the town is in good shape. We're heading into the end of the year in a large, strong position. And again, we're on track to surplus.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Any questions from council? Take a moment to let that sit in. Councillor Adams.
Just one, I guess, Rich, you kind of touched on a bit there with the significant drop in power usage at the MRC and at the water plant. What has caused, besides the cold one, what have we done? Anything that we've done, or is it just a fluke that we're not using as much power?
These things, well, the
Usage
MRC
seems weird to change.
is a lot. Just because we did identify at our sewage lagoons when we put in the new blower houses, I was like, hey, like, whoa, this thing shot up way, way above where the heck we expected it to. We brought in an electrician, talked to the design guys, and you know, we were able to figure out that issue here. So, power plant, the water plant, again, kind of varies from year to year why it's a little bit lower this year. Talk to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it's kind of one because we lost the ice and we had to redo the ice a couple times.
The MRC, yeah, so far is trending down a little bit overall. So again, it's just kind of keeping in contact. Hey guys, what have you done different? I've talked to Calvin Beauchamp there, you know, not a whole lot of things that we could see.
I was just hoping to repeat it, I guess is what I was.
Well, if I had that crystal ball and could do that, that would be perfect. But yeah.
Starts to increase, identify the differences, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that would be, and then go ahead. No, I was just gonna ask about the receivables, as larger amount there. Are we continuing through the proper procedures to collect on this? Like this is
Yes.
going through the very lengthy procedure.
Very lengthy procedures. However, it's kind of come to the point where, yeah, we are looking at some additional options here to kind of tackle this.
We are moving down a path.
Yes, we're looking at some additional things to maybe help speed up the process or get further involved.
Okay.
50,000 advertising shortfall, I guess. Is that the board advertising in that rink too? Are we looking at that as part of that 50,000?
That'd be the overall, the whole budget. So we had a budget of about $90,000 for advertising revenue for the year. For the MRC in particular, but a little bit higher than that all across all channels. So just across all channels there's going to be about a $50,000 shortfall.
Jeff, did you want to weigh in on that?
No, that's good.
Councillor Adams.
Accept as information.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? You called a question. Those in favor? That is carried. We'll have more in-depth discussions during budget. So here's our, yeah, so excited. As soon as you say budget, Roland's ready. Okay, next up is Josh. We have the garbage service review for dumpsters. Floor is yours, Josh.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This report is to promote the safety and well-being of residents and to inform Mayor and Council of potential options for preventing unwanted access to dumpsters within the town of Slave Lake. At the September 10th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting, Council received a delegation from the Slave Lake On Watch Association requesting that Council amend bylaw 22/2017 or to create a new bylaw that would require that all dumpsters within town limits be securely locked at all times except for scheduled pickups or for other requested pickups by the individual or business that on their citizens on patrol or even as citizens driving around have witnessed persons in dumpsters going through dumpsters. The SLOWA delegate suggested that locking all dumpsters within the town of Slave Lake would help reduce the number of thefts from and trespassing in dumpsters. Council moved to task administration to investigate such a bylaw by the end of November 2024. administration bylaw or amending the bylaw 2017 that would require that all dumpsters within town limits be securely locked except for scheduled pickups or for other requested pickups by the individual or business with a dumpster. These within Alberta and across Canada to ask if placing locks on dumpsters was mandatory, and if so, if it had been effective in reducing unwanted access to dumpsters. Staff also received feedback from Green for Life Environmental Incorporated, GFL, and Ride and Disposal with regards to how solid waste collection would be affected in Slave Lake, and if council were to create or amend a bylaw that would require all dumpsters to be locked except for pickups. Input was also taken from the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Fire Department with regards to enforcement of such a bylaw. Staff reached out to 7 municipalities within the province of Alberta. Both the cities of Calgary and Edmonton provide front-end loading dumpsters that can be locked if the client chooses, but it is not required. The cities of Grand Prairie and Port Saskatchewan do not enforce locks on dumpsters either, but they do have a bylaw and security personnel who patrol their communities. And if they witness an individual in a dumpster or otherwise trespassing on private property, they escort the individual from the property and offer resources and services within the community that the individual can access. Towns of Whitecourt and Athabasca do not have any such enforcement or any sort of mandatory locking mechanism. In Alberta, that required locks on dumpsters, but only for town facilities, not for all dumpsters within its boundaries. GFL, as the town of Warrenville's waste disposal contracts dumpsters upon pickup. Additionally, staff reached out to the regional municipality of Peel, the city of Guelph, and the city of Ottawa in Ontario. Like Edmonton and Calgary, the city of Ottawa offers dumpsters to clients that are capable of being locked, but it is up to the client discretion. The city of Guelph requires that dumpsters be locked only when grease is stored in the dumpster. The only municipality that mandated widespread locks on dumpsters was the region, not businesses. While there is a bylaw officer in the region of Peel that patrols the dumpsters to ensure compliance, such patrols occur only once a quarter. According to management from both GFL and Ryden, placing locks on dumpsters would not only be ineffective at restricting unwanted access to dumpsters, it would also pose a substantial cost increase for solid waste removal services within the town of Slave Lake for both tax and ratepayers. GFL clients can request a lock for purchase for their dumpster, but it is not required. Only a small number of GFL clients with dumpsters currently use locks. According to GFL management, dumpsters with locks are easily broken into with lock cutters used by vandals eager to gain access purposes, with the cost to replace the lock on the business owner or the person with the dumpster. GFL reported that incidents where vandals break dumpster locks in Slave Lake occur almost once a week, and if every dumpster in Slave Lake were to be secured with a lock, such incidents would increase from once a week to at least once a day. The additional 30 to 60 seconds that GFL and Rydan garbage truck operators would need to spend at each dumpster locking and unlocking it would increase the time it would take to complete a route with 100 dumpsters by approximately 1 to 2 hours, reducing the effectiveness of waste removal and downloading the cost to both increased slip, trip, and fall hazards for the operators due to constantly having to get in and out of the vehicle, especially in the colder winter months. With the additional time and effort, Rydan and GFL management stated that the cost of service would increase by at least $5 per garbage lift. Considering that dumpsters are emptied 2 to 3 times a week, the monthly rate per client would increase by $40 to $60 a month. In terms of enforcing such a bylaw, the task of patrolling and to bylaw enforcement personnel, in addition to all other duties required of them. According to Lesser Slave Regional Fire Department, with the current staffing for bylaw enforcement, it is highly unlikely that enforcement personnel would be able to assess even a small portion of the dumpsters in Slave Lake to ensure that they are locked. The fire department also cited concerns about increased aggressive behavior from vandals towards the businesses and enforcement would otherwise. As an alternative to placing locks in dumpsters, both the fire department as well as Ryden and GFL management recommended encouraging businesses and people with dumpsters to be more mindful about what items they throw away in order to dissuade unwanted access to the dumpsters. Most of the people who steal from dumpsters are looking for recyclables that can be sold. Therefore, in order to prevent theft from dumpsters, business owners and people with dumpsters should be encouraged to take their recyclables to either recyclable waste. While both Rydan and GFL offer their clients the option to purchase a dumpster for recyclables, only 50% of businesses within Slave Lake have a recycling dumpster, and of those that do, their dumpsters are reserved solely for cardboard and or styrofoam materials, unlike materials like bottles, aluminum cans, and other materials that would be more attractive to potential thieves. The fire department stated that once would-be thieves notice that a dumpster no longer contains anything of value, they would be less likely to return. Options before council to accept report as information, or option 2, direct administration to draft a bylaw requiring that all dumpsters within the town of Slave Lake be secured with a lock at all times except for garbage pickups, or option 3, direct administration to create an advisory campaign to encourage business owners and people with dumpsters to take their recyclables to the Slave Lake Recycle Depot or to the Slave Lake Bottle Depot in order to reduce unwanted access to dumpsters.
Counselor Adams.
Scooped you. One of the things I'm really reluctant to enforce people to lock their dumpsters. It seems like it's a path down a whole other road. The points that are brought up here are very good. I liked your thoroughness and how far out you went to actually find out who, if anybody, ever locks these things by mandate. I am in favor, however, of notice that's been brought up from our own Watch Association is good. I think we need to have at least that piece going out there. But enforcing it, I don't think is where we should be going at this time, and just leaving it alone. I think it's worth the effort to put in to get people recycling and to understand what they're throwing in their dumpsters and what the problem is. I know myself, one of the biggest challenges I had with my dumpster was honestly people dumping stuff in the dumpster that I had no control over, but not so much people taking it out. But that being said, I'd really like the public campaign.
Counselor Graham.
Yeah, so lots of info there, and we lock ours at dumping stuff in there. It'd be kind of hard for, say, an apartment building to have to lock up their stuff, right? It would actually be impossible to do that. So I appreciate the work into this. My thought is, sure, a campaign will work, but maybe if there's the same people letting this happen over and over again, maybe that's where the enforcement comes in, right? Like if it's just yours, then you lock it at night, or we're gonna have to ticket you or punish you that way. That would be the way to control it.
Counselor Graham and Counselor Adams and Counselor Wallem.
All right, just to counter that then, so people who get their cars broken, we're going to mandate that they must mandate.
If I could,
For us to mandate a law
would
isn't
come
quite
from
there.
the litter portion,
Yeah,
like
just the
your
garbage.
your
The litter
garbage.
part we can do.
And then after you got
that is-
tired of
But
getting so many
mandate a
tickets
law?
for litter.
No, don't mandate a lock. It is doing that.
Gotcha.
If someone's gonna go clean it up, well, it's on you.
I do like the idea that SLOA did bring forward. In theory, it makes a lot of sense. I've had, other places that are locked up, got broken into. I had 3 in the last year that have been locked up again, repeatedly get broken into. So I don't see a garage or one of my sheds.
I'll weigh in as well. I think that I appreciate, again, the thoroughness of the report and to look at what other municipalities are doing. A lot of times that's the benchmark to see if someone we're not reinventing the wheel by coming up with something. But punishing costs onto the residential and the business owners that have the dumpsters, I'm just not in good conscience. I don't think I can put that onto them. That being said, I would request that we do the campaign that use the dumpsters and that have that service, that they recognize the impact that it's having on the community by perhaps not being more diligent about locking or the items that they're putting in there. And I think that's my favorite part about the campaign is it's not so much about locking the dumpster, about what you are throwing away, and highlighting the fact that, I don't think I've ever consciously thought about the fact that putting, recyclables in a dumpster would be leading to perhaps an increase in crime in our community. I don't have a dumpster that I do that with, but the thought I've never put 2 and 2 together. So I imagine I wouldn't perhaps be the only one, and it sounds like common sense would be worth a shot here. Fight for which one, put your hand up first.
I'll make a motion to move that council directs administration to create an advisory campaign to encourage residents and businesses with dumpsters to take the recyclables to the Slave Lake Recycle and our Bottle Depot.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor, and that is carried. Thanks, Josh. Bush, you're up next. Curbside recycling as per extended producer responsibility.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. So I'm here to present a report to update Council about the town's curbside recycling as per the extended producer responsibility legislation. So Alberta's extended producer responsibility came into effect on November 30, 2022. Required packaging paper products, also known as PPP, and hazardous and special products, also known as HSP, by April 1st, 2025. So currently recycling systems for packaging and paper products like those collected in blue bags are funded by taxpayers. EPR shifts both financial and operational responsibility from local governments and taxpayers to the producers of these products. Under EPR of life, covering all aspects from collection and processing to education and sale of recycled materials. Once a community registered, producers will fully fund and operate the EPR system for that community, taking over all responsibilities related to the system. The government of Alberta has appointed Alberta Recycling Management Authority, ARMA, as the oversight body for the EPR program. ARMA has also registered producer responsibility organizations, also known as PROs. They are the businesses that work with producers to ensure compliance with EPR regulation. Producers must meet mandatory requirements for collection, management, education, and outreach. Currently, there are 3 PROs registered in Alberta. One is Circular Materials, which will oversee PPP, while Call to Recycle and Product Care Recycling would handle HSP. So the communities are required to register for Alberta's Extended Producer Responsibility Program in 2 phases. The town completed its application for phase 1 last year before end of December. Since early this year, staff have participated in several webinars to better understand the legislative changes and how this will affect town's current curbside recycling program. So to ensure a smooth transition, Circular Material is collaborating with registered communities to shift their recycling services to EPR through 2 models. So one of the model is opt-in, which means the community continues managing its existing recycling collection contract with a service agreement established between the municipality and the Circular Materials. Opt-out model is Circular Materials will contract directly with the current or an alternative collection service provider. So the town has opted for opt-in model for now, as it is currently in the middle of a service contract with GFL. Among the communities registered in phase 1 in Alberta, 52 have chosen the opt-in model, while 32 have registered for opt-out model. The curbside recycling program will continue to operate as usual, with the only change being that producer responsibility organization will reimburse the municipality for a curbside recycling program. This reimbursement is based. So for town, the 2023 actual cost for the curbside recycling program amounted to $86,639, which equals to $3.49 per stop per month, considering an average of 2,068 monthly residential stops. Circular Materials have proposed a compensation of $77,975, which represents 90% of the actual cost from 2023, proposed equal to $3.14 per stop per month. The 10% deduction reflects processing cost net of community revenue. This percentage is derived from 40% of gross cost being allocated to process cost, leaving 10% difference for the processing cost net of community revenue. In addition, the compensation for promotion education will be provided uniformly across all communities with an annual top-up of $1.50 per household, which amounts to $3,102 annually for our town. Yearly adjustment for inflation will also be based on consumer price index every year. In total, the town will receive $81,077 in annual compensation. Comparing this to 2023 actual, the variance is $5,562, which will need to be covered by the municipality. The compensation provided under the new EPR legislation will lead to savings for residents. Starting April 1st, 2025, the Finance Department will adjust user rates to reflect the savings. March 31st, 2025, the town will continue collecting the user fees as usual. The town's 2020 provided under the new legislation. Administration recommends that council accept the proposed compensation offered by Circular Material for the curbside recycling and proceed with finalizing the agreement.
Councillor Adams.
Why isn't the recycle center included within this?
So they are looking at I would say, they have 2 different scope of work. They're looking, so they have finalized compensation for curbside for our town. They are currently reviewing the numbers for recycle depot. So a report will be presented in future.
Great. Next was at a future date, are we able to change in what model we're using? The opt-in or the opt-out?
Yeah, usually the agreement that we sign with Circular Materials will have a end date. So once that end date, you to take over, and then they will draft the agreement accordingly.
So is this agreement that we're entering into align with the end of the contract with GFL, or?
Yes, that has already been communicated to them.
Awesome. That's it for me for now. I had another one, but I lost.
Okay. So all in all, it looks like we'll be saving funds moving forward doing this, and that so far.
Yes.
Do we have an average savings per household, or is that not a thing?
We don't know because
Side big, so I'm gonna say that the answer is no.
we don't know yet because they said they will finalize the CPI index based on once it's released.
Oh, Counselor Adams and then Counselor Choba.
So this, just to clarify, will adjust year over year, correct? With whatever usages. So if our recycling kicks up and we're doing more stops, they'll cover more of that, or is it not?
I mean, like, the agreement would consider on an average 2,000, and that's our historical average, is usually around 2,068 stops on average per month in a year. So the agreement will dictate, will follow that same. But having said that, before the end of, if the average changes and at the end of agreement, when we are stepping into a new agreement, then we can definitely.
Expansion of 50 units on one end of town, say, for example, that's 150 or that's 200 stops extra.
Fair enough. We can have that conversation before we sign an agreement.
So we're stuck in for whatever, how many years we are. How long is this agreement?
Usually, like, our GFL is the contract is expiring.
Thank you.
Counselor Choba? Yes, your question? Okay. Counselor Choba?
I'm going to make a motion.
Thank you.
I move that council directs administration to accept the proposed compensation offered by Circular Materials for the curbside recycling and proceed with finalizing the agreement.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Next report is also yours.
Yes. So next one, I'll continue with providing update to council on 2024 capital project. The highlight of this year includes installation of new trail in Hill Haven Park, continue our revitalization of walkways along Business Front between 3rd Ave and 2nd Ave, completion of paving and sidewalk replacement, playground structure with added amenities in Shooter Park, completing sections of road overlay on 3rd Ave Northeast and 2nd Street Northeast, upgrading park signage, completing exterior repair progress to update the municipal development standards, which will be funded by grant in partnership with MD. This year's construction season presented some challenges due to frequent rain during the prime summer months. Many of our projects did experience delays ranging from 1 to several weeks. However, despite these setbacks, we successfully completed majority of our projects as planned within allotted budget. Okay, so now I'll go over project by project. If you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt and ask. So the first one is protective services billing. So we have 100,000 budgeted. We actually just got the project kicked off to initiate the conceptual planning and design. So currently we don't have any expense to date, but however, we are expecting some expenses before end of this year. And the project will be carried forward in the next year and is expected to complete before end of quarter 2025. 1.5 million, we did pretty good. We almost saved or we were under by 400,000 approx. The reason was that we identified the existing road structure under the asphalt was in good condition. The sidewalks were really in bad shape, but the road base was pretty good. We tested it with proof roll and other compaction testing techniques. And we found that it is worth it to reuse majority of the base material, savings in gravel and excavation, and bringing the overall project under budget. Next one's our annual sidewalk rehab. We did, it was budgeted for 100, we spent 100, and we completed multiple sites to fix tripping hazards through town. There were also additional sites were identified for repair and will be included in 2025 program. Downtown revitalization phase 3. So we continued our effort to continue revitalization. We finished we were just going to start East Boulevard, but then we came across some unforeseen challenges with respect to a storm barrel at the corner of Rexel crosswalk, which required replacement. So we ordered material and that pushed back the surface work. And then the contractor was additionally pushed back due to inclement weather on their jobs. So, however, they did propose as a revised date of 22nd September. However, the weather was starting to cool off. So spring, just so that we get a better product, as color products are sensitive to temperature. And then contractor has also guaranteed the earliest priority start in spring 2025.
And that storm barrel repair
will be
done.
It's actually progressing. We are partnering with MD, and we are currently reviewing existing development standard document to determine gaps with current practices. Street overlay, 2nd Street, it was budgeted 145,000. We spent 105,000. Project is all complete. The brick by 2 inches and overlaid by 2 inches. There are some minor deficiencies that were identified and will be completed early spring next year. Grind and fill line painting. Again, this was budgeted 30,000. The project was delayed. However, it is still scheduled to be completed before end of October. There are not many contractors offering grind and fill painting services. So of the 2 known contractors, we did reach out to both. Both quoted the jobs, but putting us to the end of the season pretty much. However, one contractor has proposed a date of October 23rd as a start date. Water treatment plant office. Again, this is our ongoing effort to renovate the administration space there. So currently the project is progressing. Most of our interior work is being carried out by our own utility staff due to lack of any contractor willing to take on work for completing most of the work before end of this year. A couple of our staff members are framers by trade. So which would help.
Wondering how that works.
To next year, as the shop addition are expected to begin early spring 2025. However, the overall project is expected to complete within the allotted budget. 8th Street Northwest Waterline. So we completed this project right within allotted budget. All the industrial lots on that stretch are serviced off new waterline now. We also the firefighting efficiency was also improved with the replacement of the waterline on that stretch. And overall, the project went good, other than the contractor was pushed back by a few weeks because of rain. Street overlay on 3rd Ave, budgeted was 70,000. We actually ended up spending 52,000. Project is all complete within allotted budget and time. The project was done in conjunction with 5th Street Northeast Road Rehab to secure better pricing due to larger volume of work overall. The better pricing also allowed to expand the repair areas past the original project limits. Christmas decoration, it's budgeted 75. We have paid 50% deposit already, which is like approx 30,000. So the project is currently progressing. All the mounting hardware has been delivered. And actually, I got a call today that they are shipping it by the end of this week. So we should have it in the next 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll have them for the parade.
So I have a question. I know we did talk about this previously, but what are we doing with our old decorations? Are we looking to sell them to someone? Or are we just throwing them out, or?
That would be a question for Calvin. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay, no problem.
9th Street and 11th Ave Southeast waterline replacement, again budgeted 650,000. We completed the project within budget. The residents on that stretch are serviced off this new waterline. However, that stretch of road will be required to be added to the list of overlay in future due to deteriorating state of asphalt and sidewalk. Government center exterior improvements, they were budgeted 40,000. We are actually forecasting spending all. The project is currently progressing. The scope to repair flashing near Alberta Works entrance and repainting of the wood post for the lures is complete. Originally, lures were supposed to be repainted, but upon further review, it was noted that most of the lures were splitting along the length and the connection point to the metal plate was all rotted, making it a safety concern. And due to that, decided to make it more suitable for external exposure to moisture. The contract is currently working to get that lures finished up in the next few days. With change in scope, we were also, along with lures, we were also supposed to do some cement board repairs along the perimeter of the building. However, we won't be able to accomplish all. We might do few, and that should be it. And all the remaining will have to be proposed for next year. Security equipment, it was budgeted 40,000. We are expecting a surplus there. We will finish at 18,000. So the project is all complete. Most of the upgrade was triggered by outdated equipment on government of Alberta side, offices side. And due to that, negotiations were held to have most of the cost covered by GOA, and they were agreed upon. Sewer network expansion for phase 2 North Industrial. So we budgeted 900,000. Actual, the bid came really good. And we were able to finish at 462,000 within our budget on time. It is all complete. Minor ditch restoration work will be completed early next year. MRC office reno, it's budgeted 150,000. We haven't spent anything yet. Just started the actual task of upgrading the office. The contractor is currently finalizing the HVAC equipment, and they will order the material for framing and stuff soon. MRC exterior improvements. So the project work is all complete. It was budgeted at 50. We actually spent all. The project addressed the downspouts on the perimeter, metal clad repairs, landscaping repairs, repainting of wood columns and beams, improving overall exterior appeal of the facility. Also, there was a scope of fixing dressing room 1 shower, which was also addressed through this budget. MRC hot water tank, it was budgeted 120,000. We will spend pretty much all. And the project is all complete. The units were replaced with higher efficiency unit while extending the overall useful life. MRC BMS system, it was budgeted at 40,000. We have spent 30,000 to date. And we are not expecting any other expenses to that project, so it's all complete. The noted deficiency of tying slab temperature sensor with BMS was fixed with this project. Additionally, call-out system was also updated to notify manager and on-call staff for anomalies or errors within the system. MRC floor cleaning equipment, it was budgeted at 30,000. We actually spent 28,000 securing a walk behind and a ride on floor cleaning equipment. Hill Trail install and other trail repairs. So it was budgeted at 195,000. We have completed the trail install and we have also done repairs on the existing trails at an expense of 105,000. So most of our original scope is complete. However, we have enough budget left to get the parking lot paved, probably, which can be completed next year. The contractor proposed a price this in 2024. However, they are willing to hold that price for next year, so without any increase.
Awesome.
So we will have that conversation with council in our capital budget sessions. Shooter Park playground repairs, they're budgeted at 50,000. We pretty much spent all. We did repainting of the existing metal structure, repairing rubber surfacing, and addition of few amenities in the existing park. Park cameras budgeted 20,000. We ended up spending all. New cameras were added in Hill Park and Barton Park to deter vandalism activities and further giving us abilities to report to enforcement agencies. Park sign for 65,000. We have spent 25,000 to date for deposit, and all the framing of the sign is complete. The local sign company is working to get this month. The project is expected to stay within budget. Shooter Park trail lighting, majority of the project work is complete. The trail lights have been installed along the Shooter Park. Minor landscaping restoration work will be completed early spring next year. The project was budgeted at 45. Other projects like sourcing of sand truck, asphalt recycler, asphalt repair trailer, programmable sign, snow gate, medium duty pickup truck, wild and urban trailer was also completed within the allotted budget. Any surplus budget amounts on capital, administration recommends council to accept this report as information.
Councilor Moyle.
I guess sitting here on council, I see that we've come, there's a number of projects here, 25 projects, and nothing has gone over budget. It looks like you guys are doing a really good job. So I just want to applaud the work that you're doing and for saving us a little bit of money there.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kush, for the overview. You had another busy summer, as I can see. And I just want to echo the same sentiments as Councilor Moellem as well. You guys are really busy. I super appreciate everything that you do. And I especially appreciate you guys coming in under budget. That's always a win. And I think, attention to detail is paid on a lot of the projects as well. And so I super appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You really took council's direction with realization and contacting the business owners and making sure that the project was well communicated out. I think a lot of our issues could be with improved communication.
Right.
If people know what's going on, if they understand the delays, you do project management for a living, you understand that there will always be
Right.
delays, but the better we communicate it out,
Right.
has yielded better results. And my phone hasn't been ringing off the hook with complaints about capital projects. So thank you very much. So
Thank you.
greatly appreciate the communication, and whatever we've done has been very helpful, at least from a council perspective.
Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
I move that council accepts this report as information.
All right, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor, and that is carried. Thanks, Kush.
Thank you.
Moving along into question period, anything for administration? Councilor Hughes.
I kind of have one. I asked a couple weeks ago, but I'm just going to follow up and see if you have any updates for me. Has there been any communication from Alberta Transportation Bridge? I've been asked by residents again. I know you said sometime in October, but it's about October 15th now. Just wondering if there have been any updates to yourself.
No, I have not received any, but it doesn't mean I can't inquire again.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, that would be great. I am definitely getting asked, and myself, I'm frequenting that highway and I'm seeing people slamming on the brakes, and I'm seeing it to add to another safety concern on this highway come winter. So if you could please ask, that would be wonderful.
I will.
Thank you.
I had a few people asking me about the trees along Main Street that have been removed. You did some work and they were doing one after another, and they just why?
Along Main Street today?
Nope,
Last week.
probably last week. Yeah, in the past. Yeah, they're pulling them out, doing something, putting them back, going to the next one, pulling it out.
Are we talking about like downtown?
Downtown.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry, I didn't know where you were referring to.
Sorry.
So we had some wiring issues that those trees are lit up, right? So we have our Christmas lights and stuff on them. So I believe if you're talking about kind of by by the movie theater trying to rectify the wiring without having to alter the concrete that was nicely poured in there. So that's what was like.
Did you rectify the problem then?
I actually, I'm not sure where I believe they did, but I haven't heard otherwise. So Kush would have been the perfect person to ask.
He ran out of here fast.
I know.
Took the compliments and gone.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything that means it has to be escalated. So I think no news is good news likely.
Right. 'Cause
The wires are running underneath the concrete from one tree to another, and they were able to isolate where the problems were. And so they're trying to do it without, having to dig up concrete for this purpose.
Any further? Okay, we can move into State of the Lake. Councillor Trova.
Yesterday, our mayor celebrated her birthday. So on behalf of the council and the community of Slave Lake, I'd like to extend the warmest wishes and gratitude for her leadership, dedication, and hard work. We are fortunate to have such a strong and compassionate leader guiding our town. Happy birthday, Mayor Ward, and here's to a wonderful year ahead.
Thank you very much. Very often on my speech list, so we're just going to continue State of the Lake. We'll stay with Councillor Choba and Councillor Malala for now. Anyone else have anything further? Okay. Councillor Adams.
Ah,
Give it to her.